Hello everyone and welcome back to IMO Reviews, and today we are discussing Damien Leone's Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3 is the third installment of the Terrifier franchise, following Art, the mysterious serial killer clown who goes around messing up people in some of the most depraved and disturbing ways imaginable. And in this third installment, it just so happens to be Christmas, as Art returns with a bag full of nasty presents. To give you a quick summary of how I feel about this franchise, I strangely like it. I can see a lot of flaws, plot holes and problems, but despite my better nature, I just get into it. And I think a lot of that boils down to two simple things. Art the Clown as a character feels iconic and of an older era when we had Chucky, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. Sorry to forget their names there. He does feel like he belongs in that crowd, and there is an exciting buzz about having a slasher icon in this generation. And the other aspect that ties me to this franchise is just the sheer morbid depravity of it all. This franchise is no holds barred. They are going out of their way to be disturbing. And I am just naturally a morbidly curious person. I want to know what messed up thing they're going to do next. Between those two things, I can't help but be excited every time there's a new Terrifier movie coming out. The first one does remain my favourite, but I did enjoy the second one. I just felt the story got a little bit too in the way and convoluted, whereas the first one was much more simple and came with much more of a pointed edge. But how did I get on with the third installment? Well, let's start with the positives. The big one being the main man himself, Art the Clown. Horrifying to look at, and yet I can't take my eyes off him. He's infectiously entertaining for all of the wrong reasons. And I love the ambiguity that surrounds the character. I really hope that this franchise never fully paints the picture, explaining his background and his origins. I think it works perfectly with just giving us the four corners of the puzzle. Don't fill out the whole picture, but just give us the ballpark. I'm fine with that. Makes him a much more alluring, captivating and interesting character. And I think David Howard Thornton's never been better. He seems to be having the time of his life in this role. I thought the rest of the cast also massive improvements in their performances. Some of them were good, but not great in the second one. I think they are massively improved here. You can also see where the budget has gone in this movie. Everything has taken another step up, which is a praise that I gave to the second movie, and I think there's huge credit to go to Damien Leone and the crew that are working on these movies. You can see with each outing just how much each and every single aspect has improved significantly, and I don't think it's just down to budget. I think they are truly improving as filmmakers. Fair play. I love to see that. And I also want to give them a lot of credit for seemingly listening to their fan base. I don't think I was the only one in saying that it felt like the story just got a little bit in the way in that second movie. And in this one, it is still there, but this time they haven't shoved it down your throat. They were smart enough to listen to what their audience wants from their movies. What's the violence like? I mean, that is what you're going to these movies for. It's great. Of course it is. Again, that budget does go the extra mile. Things feel nastier, squishier, squirtier, and there's an awful lot of it. It feels like maybe every other scene there is something pretty nasty and diabolical going on. But unfortunately, despite my praise and enjoyment of this movie, I do still have just a handful of issues, and some of them still ring true from the last outing. Where the second movie was overly convoluted with its story and it felt like it was bogging it down and getting in the way, and as much as I praise them for listening to that criticism and trying to improve it, I feel like they've now gone too far the other way. There really isn't a story in this one, if I'm being honest with you. If I had to try and tell you what happens narratively, I'd really be scratching my head. Because ultimately, the narrative is Art the Clown kills somebody, the human characters sit around arguing and fussing and I guess ultimately just waiting for Art the Clown to arrive. Then we go back to Art and Art the Clown kills somebody. And then we go back to the human characters who are still arguing and sitting around and waiting for Art the Clown to arrive. And this is a 2-hour, 5-minute long runtime. It did wear thin very quickly. It is one of those movies where I just felt the momentum very quickly slowed down the longer we went on. It's shot out of the gates. I loved the opening. I thought the first few scenes were excellent and really building to something. But as we slowly approach that 40-minute mark, hour mark, oh boy, did it start to set in just a bit. The pacing of these movies have always been problematic, and it still is the case here. It does feel uneven. It does feel too long. In hindsight, looking back at the film, I myself can pick out 4 or 5 scenes that really don't lead to anything and don't need to be there. Could easily be cut and made 10 minutes shorter. And as much as this franchise is hell-bent on pushing the boundaries and going that one step further, but they always seem to have one big set-piece kill per movie, and this one was meant to be the worst of all. I didn't think so. Maybe I'm a little bit desensitized to it all, but no, I thought the big set-piece kill in the second one was way worse, and I kind of felt the same about the ending. It just ends. No real conclusion, doesn't really move us anywhere. It's just the end, I guess. And as much as I had fun with this movie and enjoy it for what it is, it's a hindsight film. I can easily look back and go, why did you make that decision? What's that all about? Why is that scene in here? It's very narratively fluky. It's very uncommitted. It feels uncertain about what it wants to do with its characters and what direction it wants to go in yet. It feels like it's buying time. And in some regards, that made this movie feel like DLC. It made it feel like Terrifier 2.5. Terrifier the Christmas special. Because overall the movie just lacks a real driving force and commitment to any which direction. No character really gets an arc here. They start at A, they finish at A. And that is disappointing because as much as I had fun with the kills and I think all of that was still great, I just wanted a little bit more from this. I wanted them to be a little bit more confident with what they were doing and just bravely put their balls on the table and say, here you go, Terrifier 3. And to some degree they do that. They put one ball on the table, I guess is how I'd put it. But overall, I still had a hell of a lot of fun with this for what it is. And I'd gladly revisit this. This would be great in a Halloween's time or two to go and revisit the Terrifier trilogy again. And I'm going to give Terrifier 3 a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comment section as well. Have you seen Terrifier 3? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you haven't had enough of this crazy ginger, you can always click on these suggested videos right here and get yourself lost in an IMO wormhole. But if not, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.